I'm Kevin Marklow, serving as the chairperson of jury for the 2025 Big Field Student Prize. The competition, while originated in Daegu, Republic of Korea, is a meaningful contest that targets university and graduate students across Asia, expecting essential challenges and attempts for the future of architecture. Furthermore, by assembling distinguished architects from 5 Asian countries as jury members, we hope to create a pan-Asian architectural consensus. First, let us determine the judging methodology and proceed with the evaluation.
So let's discuss,
Whether one is selected or not. In fact, if we decide that there are no competition winners for the entire competition, I'm also fine with that. What I want to guard against is being effusive in awarding too much. That's my only worry. But if you decide that none of them deserve it, I'm also all right with that, because I did think that it would have been nice to have received stronger entries. So in relation to urban, I'm on the fence, and it'll depend on our discussion. Yeah. Hoof and Ari, what do you guys think?
I think in my case, when I select the 10 best work from this submission, I have to sacrifice one architecture project just in order to put in one urban design project in my selection. But I I initially think that the project that I chose for the architecture is better than the one from urban. So I don't know. I'm not a very urban kind of a designer. So first of all, the architecture project intrigued me a lot more than the urban project. But it doesn't say that the urban project is less quality compared to architecture. That's my opinion. Um,
Okay.
Yeah,
What about
similar case with me there. I made a pre-selection before I selected the 10 final ones, which I then suggested. And I had urban projects in that, which then but fell through, which for various reasons I decided then that architectural projects were more appealing to me or more deserving to that. Also looking at the memory aspect of me for aspect of it, which I found maybe easier or better presented in the architecture projects, which I then selected. So nothing against urban design, but I felt that then when I selected that, I was leaning towards architecture projects more.
I see.
Yeah.
Which urban project did you select, Mr. Hoof?
I mean, one was this, that was in my short list. That was actually the one, and there was that 85 as well.
Oh, which one, you selected 85?
85 was in my pre-selection, which I then didn't push through to my final round.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Yeah, this is my selection. This is
The Living Arcade.
2106, yeah.
Yeah, so I was leaning more to that Living Arcade than to the other. But then I felt that certain things kind of didn't work for me here as well, because it was very inward looking, but I didn't really understand how we wanted to connect to the city left and right of it. So
yeah, I didn't like this the canal project, because it didn't, I mean, it totally ignored Kevin Lynch's principles of path and nodes. And usually if you've got a long path, then you'd want a node on either end, but it kind of just bled out. And then the central part was so cluttered, you couldn't understand it as a center. So that's the reason why I thought this was not such a good entry. I liked the other one because it seemed to make better connection to what was existing. And it felt more contextually relevant in relation to, well, it's basically a park, and how much public parks do you get in a dense urban situation. So I thought that was a nice gesture, and I thought it was nice to at least acknowledge it for that, Whereas this one seemed to be more about making something happen, and a good idea in relation to what it could do to canal, but this was not successful in relation to deeper urban principles.
I chose this because I think this will be easily replicated elsewhere, because the problem and everything about the canal, I can see it in every city in the world, so it's easier to duplicate it. And then, like I said before, I'm looking for a method. So this is like representing what I'm looking for compared to the other one. you know.
Okay, if I could put a counter argument to that, and the reason why you felt is because you're thinking from the lens of an architect. And
Yeah.
as an urban plan, I would pick an entry because it cannot be duplicated anywhere else. It's got to be very specific, and I like that. That is more appealing to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense, Kevin. Yeah, maybe that's the answer, you know, to why I
Yeah.
picked over to the other one. That's why I say it's like how we architect think. It's not how the urban designer think.
So anyway, based on that, we gotta make we should make a decision. What about the last one? There are three of them. That was number 8061.
61, yes.
Yeah. Who nominated that one? Was it Yu Ting or was it Mr. Lee or?
Oh, not
No,
me.
61 was me, actually. I think that
okay.
was, yeah.
Maybe you could explain your choice for 61.
So maybe I think it appealed to me. Again, this that I'm an architect and I understand it maybe better because of an architectural perspective of it. Yeah, I found it really appealing, and I have to actually go through it again to see. Yeah, so the way it brought in the timeline of the site, and I think, yeah, I think it was really worked out well and had a lot of thought put into it. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
The reason why I did not consider this project was because in relation to architecture as a massing, as a form with the courtyards, it was absolutely delightful. It started high where the higher buildings were and sloped down to where the lower buildings were, you know? And the lowest point is where you get the most light. I really like that. But everything that filled it smacked of gentrification. It had very little to do with the neighborhood, with the community, actually. And all the activities were inviting newcomers from outside to begin to populate it, to raise the prices, values go sky high, and then the community is ruined. So that's the reason why I did vote for it.
Yeah.
As a form, it was magnificent. I really liked it.
Yeah, it's maybe something which a developer would propose to ruin the
Yes.
whole neighborhood.
Correct. So that's what I
Okay.
didn't like so
I
much
didn't,
about it.
that thought really didn't cross my mind at that point. But so exactly not thinking about it from the city, but thinking about the plot itself. Maybe that is
So,
where it's
so
coming
my
from.
sense of things would be that kind of leaves only my choice then, and then you guys have to decide whether you think there's enough merit to at least be considered for an urban award. Definitely it can't win a grand jury prize, but as a gesture to the city, giving back public space that's elevated, that can be populated during the day. You know, it seemed like a nice gesture that's rarely seen, very undeveloper-like. And the undercroft, maybe the citations, I think, are more important than the choices, that the citations can actually point out the flaws in the final awarded prize, you know, that brings it back down to earth and makes the whoever was reading or at least perusing the awardees has a better understanding of balance of where we stand as jury members, you know? What do you think?
All right, for me, you know, like all of the urban project, like a three project has a word to be selected as a awardee. It's just matter of, you know, like what is the urban design is. So for me, like some of the project is kind of like a in between architecture and urban design. So for me, like I definitely agree, like pick one project from urban design as a awardee, but I mean, like which one will be awarded as like we have to decide. I mean, for me, like my point of view is, you know, if it's like whether it's like a real urban design or like a architecture and urban design. So for me, like a first one is more like a real urban design, like it has more focus onto it. So that's why, you know, pick one project from urban design and I vote like the first one. Okay, that's my opinion.
Okay. How about you, Ari and Hoof? What do you think?
I think I will keep aside the urban design project first at this moment, and let's take a look at the architecture. Because like I say, I have to sacrifice one architecture project in order to put in one urban project. So to me, actually, the quality of the architecture work is better than the urban design.
Okay, so your sense is that we should put a hold on deciding this.
Let's
Okay.
put on hold first on the urban design submission, and then we look at the architecture project first at this
Okay.
moment. What do you
What do you
think?
think, Huth? Yeah.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if we really can't decide on any number, the final number of the architect, and we keep fighting, we can then put this in as a joker to make us all
Sounds good. Okay, excellent. So let's move on. So determination of each prize. If all jury members agree with the compiled results of first round, we will proceed with selecting the grand prize at first prize of architecture for relevant works and immediate final entries, followed by the 9 honorable mention works. The discussion for the first prize of urbanism will be conducted during the process of selecting the 9 honorable mention works. Before voting for work selection, let us hear from each jury member about their judging criteria and conduct a brief open discussion. This is what should have come first. I'm so sorry. So let's hear from each one of you. Let's begin with Mr. Lee. Maybe you could tell us what your criteria has been for your selections.
Well, when I first reviewed the first round selection, I was really glad to find that all jury shares consensus. Even though my perspectives may not be different, my selection is based on these criteria. The first, the subject. If the project has a good urbanistic or socioeconomic issues. Second, the design methodology, whether it has a clear design direction and method. And third, the design quality, if it carries an excellent level of completion and presentation. In addition to these criteria, I gave extra credit to project that has a strong locality as a design identity. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Huth?
Yeah, so of course, I mean, first it has to be there has to be a good concept and a message, and it has to be founded on something. Like, even if it can maybe look fantastic, but if the story is not proper, I think it's about storytelling in the end, and relevance to not only the subject but maybe other current issues which we are facing these days, and to some extent maybe feasibility and technical awareness too. But maybe since we are talking about ideas, that was not one of the main figures. But in the end, of course, it had to look great. I mean, if you had a good idea, but you then don't know how to present it, like I found that a lot of people had picked really good topics, but then they didn't follow through and it didn't work in the end. I mean, it was really like, oh, this is a good idea. And then you go to page 2, 3, and then there's nothing. And that is basically where, like, how well the story holds all the way to the end. That is the main thing, I think.
Understood. Ari?
I have a few criteria actually. When I look through the submission, I like the idea of some of the work that is, a lot of them working with existing buildings or precedents that once existed. So to me, I think that's very interesting because memory, as much as it is created, it must also be nurtured along the certain journey through the people, the buildings, the existing building, existing trees, and everything that come along with its creation. So those kind of submission actually pull me through. I also think that as an architect, or they are a future architect, they have to remember that the root of all these things that we are doing right now lies in a human life itself here. So I like the idea of some of them, they are looking at the way when we are born, how they treat the cemetery, all this stuff. That is also attract me a lot on this submission. And also, I believe that in the world that is not getting any younger, future architect has to be prepared to respond for disaster, the growing influx of waste that has become a common issue beyond construction alone. I also noticed there's some of the work that is adapt to new technologies, in this case, particularly AI, as part of the broader process of problem solving and design. So I also interested on those kind of submission in my selection. And I have said it before that I do not see architecture in this submission as merely as a production of a building, but rather as a genuine method to address this question of the future. And to me, the question of the future is to solve, to record, to preserve, and then to understand. So this method has to be easily duplicated and applied elsewhere, which is like you, Kevin, say it's not applicable for urban project. So that's my criteria actually.
Okay, it sounds like we are all in agreement in relation to the big idea. But we all stated it slightly differently, of course. Ari, you gave examples of what big ideas you enjoy, and I think that really goes along with what you were talking about too, Mr. Hoof, about how the narrative, the storytelling, is the most important thing. But you also had a thing about it needing development. So the final product was almost as important to you as the idea. Yeah. And for Mr. Lee, it's similar to the big idea. But what I liked about what you said, Mr. Lee, was the fact that you took into account social concerns and the context as an urban intervention, and I really like that. That's a very important criteria to me. So the big idea, yes, it's an ideas competition, but it has to serve a social need, an urban response. I think that's very important. To me, the big idea was more important than the development, Hoof. So if the project didn't look good in the end, it didn't bother me. As long as it suggested something that has never been done before in a very powerful way, which responds to society or an urban context, I enjoy that. And so the prettiness of a presentation was irrelevant to me in the end. I went through I went through the ugliest projects because I was hoping for something, and one of those ideas came out in a very ugly project that to me represented a step forward. And maybe we can talk about that when we look at the projects. Yeah. So that's my criteria. Above and beyond all, it had to serve an urban need and an urban and social need. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So what do we do here now? Shall we just run through each of the projects to determine what their values are and what we feel we can discuss their merits? Shall we do that? Yeah, let's discuss from big idea right down to detail. That's what I loved about it. It's very, very thorough, and I love that. And it also responds to the theme, and that's the reason why I gave it a super pass. Now, this project, my only concern is, was it truly all entirely student work? It looks like some things have been professionally done. I don't know. I guess we got to give it trust. And in this case, this is an amazing project. It's lovely, absolutely magnificent. And it's built.
Yes, Kevin, you got the point. I exactly agree with you.
It's like this kind of romanticism on this project that I've seen it many times, that it doesn't really intrigue me to put it as a grand prize, but maybe as a first prize, okay. I
What were
mean,
the others? Let's look at the other projects that had 2 votes or 3 votes or whatever.
there is one project that's very interesting that working with the gap. This one.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. This is very powerful project because it can happen in any city in Asia.
This is true. The big idea is good, but the big idea as a narrative should have included a space for people. Now, we see a lot of people in the drawing, but in reality, it'll be way too warm to be inhabited in any fashion because of all the air-conditioned compressors you see, Ari. So I really like this project. I really wanted to love it. But when I looked at the detail, it was more about collecting condensate water and feeding plants and giving it back. And all of that stuff can be channeled back into the office buildings, you see. So it seemed more like it was not so much architectural than it was infrastructural. Not that I have a problem with it, as long as the infrastructure can be inhabited. But this is uninhabitable, you see. So that's why the narrative didn't work so well for me. Please, Mr. Lee, Mr. Hoof, please tell us what you think.
There is one judges actually picked this as a super pass, so I want to hear from him what is his reasoning of putting this as super pass. But it's not me.
I think that's me.
Okay.
Yeah. So what
Yeah,
do you
I'm the
think?
one who picked like this project as a super pass. Actually, you know what? I loved this project. Because it also proves that like large scale or fancy design is not necessarily as a requirement for the great project. Beyond the landmark or iconic approach, this project reinterpreted the issue of abandoned leftover space in a highly dense, like urban area, transforming them into a new community space. From the perspective of a locality, it is highly creative in a way. It uncovers a sense of place, not just the architectural form, but as a living experience of urban residents. That was kind of like my first, like a choice, because like the reason that I picked like as a, first pick. But, like as I said, one of my like best criteria, my most important criteria is socio-economic issue and locality as well. That fits like this project fits like two of my main criteria. That's why I picked this project as like my super pass. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Hoof, tell us what you think.
Yeah, I liked it a lot as well. I really like the idea of that memory lane and filling it with basically memories of different materials and then bringing things together. Also that it's not just it also then starts connecting two buildings, so creating new memories between two neighbors which otherwise don't have anything to do with the alley, so as a connector in between buildings. My only worry was how it would really work in real life. I mean, you talked about the heat from all the air conditioning units. I was also wondering how will light really go down all the way. So light and ventilation in reality will be a real challenge. But as an idea, I find it really intriguing and quite strong.
If this goes on to win the first prize in architecture, the citation will have to be very, very well worded, because I do not support this as a first prize win at all, because it is not inhabitable the way it is as a project. Sure, if we start doing a lot of other things to it, it might become inhabitable. It can be. But as it stands as a project, we don't want to give the wrong impression to any other student looking at it that, yes, you can just draw people in a perspective and expect it to succeed, So that's my only concern, that the citation will have to be very, very well written.
I agree with you, Kevin. This is not the project that we will able to digest it in drawing. It has to be built to understand how it is work. So yeah, maybe it's not for the first prize, but we have to put this project in our mind. It's one of the strongest project in this submission.
I think this should be in the mention, honorable mention, because
perhaps,
then we
yeah.
can talk about all the issues that Mr. Lee has mentioned, which I think are completely valid, and also why it did not win possibly the grand prize, because it was not developed to make it inhabitable, So I think as an honorable mention, it's very, very needed there. But I don't think it should win the first prize. What do you think, Mr. Lee and Hoof? What do you feel? Is that okay?
Yeah, I don't think it should win the first prize, that for sure.
What
There's
about the
another
other
project similar to this, I remember, but I can't find the number.
Yeah, it's either the impermanence one or the one that had to do with the tools, But those were not as compelling as this. This was truly an awful site that attempt was made to make architectural, So this is interesting. So there was one more project. What do all of you think? Let's start with Mr. Lee this time.
Well, I mean, this is quite good project, especially I like the application of optimization in the architectural design with like a Grasshopper, like an optimization tool. I think they used like a Grasshopper, Ladybug with some kind of, like a Galapagos, I think. But with all that, technicality, I mean, I like this project because, it's kind of future forwarding, like improving, like ordinary design methodology into like something more technological way. That's why I like this project. But still, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if this is good project, but I don't think this is like the first like a winning project.
Okay.
That's my opinion. Yes.
Okay. Hoof, tell us.
So I really appreciated the way, I mean, the showcase of leftover wood, and then basically showcasing the possibilities of what you could do. I mean, and then not using wood for the construction of the whole thing, but it's basically a storage for wood, and you don't use the wood for the construction, which is a quite I like that separation.
Mm.
And And it's really well worked out and very well presented. And since I'm trained as a carpenter, so I really like that someone is looking at all these leftover woods or wood which comes out of old construction projects which we have here in India as well a lot. That old construction gets torn down and then someone buys it. But that you have it as a collection and then as a almost a depository from where you can then pick and use it for construction is a very good idea.
Terrific.
And not like hiding it somewhere and only if you know you have access to it, but showcasing it to everybody.
Gotcha. Excellent. Ari, tell us.
Well, it's very well thought, and then the project itself looks very good. Actually, it's quite against the idea of my first intention, not to look at the building, but this is defy that. Well, I just like it. Yeah, it looks very well thought and very well presented.
Okay. I really like this project for exactly the reasons you mentioned, Hoof, that you didn't need to use timber to make a building that sells timber. What I really liked about it, though, was the fact that we all wax lyrical about reusing timber, reusing steel, and all that, but it's still left to the second-hand dealers to disseminate. This building actually formally makes what you call rightly, Hoof, the showroom of recycled timber that actually pulls it into the mainstream. And it's a very powerful idea. I really like that. But as a building, dealing with recycled timber as a material, it doesn't work. I mean, the way the timber is delivered, the way it's stacked, the biggest pieces should be at the bottom. The delivery, the takeout, it's from the same area. And instead of designing it like a cross, it should be designed as a loop or a U, so that you pull it out on the outside and you pull it in on the inside, or vice versa. There's got to be a better sort of a understanding of how retail works, So I thought it didn't work as well, but the idea is a very powerful one. And once again, if we select this as the first prize, the citation will have to be very, very well written, because so that it highlights the idea of actually bringing recycled materials into prominence and not as a side trade, But what do you all think? Do you think this deserves the first prize?
No, it's not this one.
Okay, let's vote for it then. Ari, no. Hoof?
It's either this or the hut for me, I think.
Okay. Mr. Lee, tell us.
Probably no.
No?
Yep.
Okay,
No.
so if that's if we go that way, then perhaps the hut wins the first prize in architecture. Is everyone okay with that?
No.
No, because these are the only 4 projects that we got 3 left. You see, and one of the 3 has to win the first prize, I believe. Yu Ting not being here, he'll be a good one to come in because we need a tiebreak. We would need a tiebreaker. I would vote for the hut personally. So that would make us 3. So that would tie-break it then, I guess. But
For
is
me,
that okay?
I'm voting 43. I don't know how like it.
I'm leaning towards the hut.
This is a tough one because I'm also leaning towards the hut, but that means that I could be the tiebreaker. Which one are you leaning more towards, the hut or the timber recycling, Ari?
The hut.
Okay. In that case, it'll be up to me. I will go with the timber recycling, provided a very, very strong citation can be written for it. Because like we discussed earlier, however lovely the hut is, it's still a romantic thing, it doesn't solve global problems as much as a timber recycling center does. Does that make sense, Ari?
Yeah.
But you just highlighted that this has a logistic problem just now, Kevin.
It does, but that's where I don't mind the development being so thorough. That the big idea is that it brings recycling in a very formal, powerful way to the forefront as a showroom that you can actually go, yes, we can get recycled timber. We go there. It's not a second-hand dealer. It's just not one of these dealers, usually owned by a contractor. And I like this idea that you can actually formalize it as a bona fide trade, you see?
Okay, agree with that.
That makes sense?
Yeah, it does.
Because if I vote for the hut, we'll be here all night. It'll be 2 against 2.
It's okay. Yeah.
Okay, in that case, let's go with the timber warehouse.
Yeah, okay.
And write a very powerful citation which points out its obvious flaws. Okay?
Okay,
Ari, is that all right?
I agree with you.
Okay, thank you very much. So let me get back to my prescribed where is it? And now I'm supposed to go on to the urban price determination. Now, Ari, I think you're mistaken about the urban price. You don't have to, it doesn't rob the architecture at all since architecture has already been decided. The urban price is its own thing now. Okay? So
Okay.
that in mind, we've got three candidates, I guess. Are there any strong feelings about not awarding at all? Or can we award one?
So that
Maybe
will be the
some-
first prize in urban design, right?
Yes, urban design now. There are three nominations, and do you feel they're all really rubbish and they should not need they don't need to be awarded, or can one be awarded a first prize?
Let me see again.
We have the Green Bridge, we have the Canal Project, and we have the and very interesting what I call the gentrification project, the beautiful massing of gentrification. So we're waiting on you, okay, Ari? Just so that you know. This is what I call the Green Bridge Project, the park, the City Bridge Park project. And then we've got the Canal Project, which I think you would like very much. And then we have Hoof's lovely, beautifully architectured project here.
So what do you think, Kevin, from all these three? Which one do you think deserve the first prize for the urban design?
Or not at all, you know? I'm okay if you guys decide none of them deserve it. But if one deserves it, I think it has to be the city park rather
Agreed.
than the, you know, make sense?
Does it have to be the first prize, or can we just give them like a honorable mention or something,
Sure, we could.
right?
Sure, we could. But if it's an honorable mention, I do not believe the other two should be part of that honorable mention because I don't think they're very negative in relation to the urban planning, you know, and immediate community and society. But the city park really does at least say, look, you can design a beautiful city park that bridges over roads and allows light into the roads as well, you know, but maybe not. If you guys decide 3 against 1, no, it's not, then it's fine by me. Let's not even have any honorable mentions or winners at all. That's fine then. What do you think, Ari?
I'm reading it now.
Okay.
Let me see. What is the rest of you think, guys? Like Mr. Lee, Ho.
Let's go with Mr. Lee first. Yeah. What do you think, Mr. Lee?
Make your life easier. Please call me Wu. That's better. Like,
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
Mr. Wu, yes.
Yeah.
and you know, I think like this is kind of part of like a committee's like opinion first, because I don't know how they announced it, the competition, whether we have to pick one first prize from urban category or not. You know,
Uh-huh.
Mr. Lee from the committee, Mr. Lee.
Yes. This will be, among judges' decisions. So you can pick, or you can have it an honorable mention, or decide not to pick anything at all.
It's up to
Okay.
you, Mr. Wu.
Okay,
So,
then
yeah.
I would say pick one from urban category, but it doesn't need to be like especially all these three projects doesn't need to be first. It could be like an honorable mention.
Okay. So maybe are you in agreement that one of them, or at least this one that you're looking at right now?
Oh
will be
yes,
the honorable
yes,
mention?
51 becomes honorable mention. Yeah.
Okay. Hoof, what do you think, Sanka? Maybe I should call you by your first name.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the design brief. So it says that there's one grand prize, and then first prize each architecture, urban, landscape. Landscape, we don't have any submissions, so it's not eligible. And then, I mean, the submissions for urban design were very, very few. So maybe since the pool was so small, and then we also don't feel that there is too much quality in the submission, maybe it doesn't need to have a first prize, but we definitely give the honorable mention for it.
I see. And okay, you want this to be the honorable mention?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Yeah.
Okay. And what about you, Ari?
So now it's up to me which one I have to choose. Okay, now I agree with you. It's better than the Living Arcade.
Okay.
As an honorable mention.
Okay, so this will be the honorable mention with a very, very strongly worded citation about why it is and why it almost didn't make it. Okay, so we've decided, Mr. Lee, that number 51 will be the honorable mention in the urban category. There's no first prize award for the urban category. And now we move on to the can we have just the honorable mention in the urban category? That way we still have 9 honorable mentions in architecture, so that Ari doesn't go home feeling disappointed.
I was actually thinking that the one that you choose, Songke, the one in urban design, can you show me what number just now? 51? Is it 51?
61, Mr. Lee, can you bring up 61?
Which is look more architecture than the urban design.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't be looking at how it looks, Ari. I got to bring you back to the activities within, which invite newcomers from all over town to begin to do business and ruin the lives of the rest of the community around them.
But this is also interesting, you know.
It's
Can
a
we
beautiful
I
project.
think we are free to do anything we
Because
want.
I was comparing
Okay.
the 3 selection, and I think this is also very interesting project to win a honorable mention at least, together with the 61.
Okay, you do you know why I'm so polarized about this project, Ari? Is because the citation would have to be written in such a way that it will nullify its mention, because it's not a good project for the community. It's a beautiful architectural project, but beauty is not the most important thing in what we do, is it? It's got to do with how it relates with everything else. And unfortunately, it brings in so much new, it basically brings in privileged and entitled members of the city, and it doesn't do enough for the locals. You see, right around it of the site. So that's what troubles me. You look at the factory to the north west. The special eatery areas are already becoming gentrified. So why should this further hasten the process? You know, going back to Mr. Wu's original statement about it serving society first and foremost. So that's why the citation will be too difficult to write, because you read it and you go, okay, in that case, why does it get an honorable mention? Just because it looks beautiful? You know what I mean? It's a
But it
difficult
does
one.
show the architectural aspect of it, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
but architecture is not only about how it looks, about form. It's also about how it behaves in terms of relational qualities. Yeah, it's basically a project that can only be funded by a big developer who is interested in making money, and the money cannot be made by doing it anything other than for the entitled and privileged to afford. You see, so you're bringing in new money into this whole neighborhood, which is already going to make it even worse, you see. So I don't believe it should even receive an honorable mention, because the citation will have to cite that. And then you got trouble, you know. In that case, why is it awarded, you know? So I love this project. I really wanted to like it, but the activities, so unless the citation says, get rid of all the activities proposed by the project and fit it with other activities, and maybe then it would win the first prize. I don't know. Is that the way we should go? Okay, I agree with you then, Ari. The citation can be written that way, which makes it a mention, maybe not so honorable, and that can also be put in the citation. Is that okay?
It's not so honorable mention.
No, it is an honorable mention, but we put in the citation why it is mentioned, but in a way that it is a critique of the project itself, and that's why it deserves to be mentioned.
Yeah,
That many times students don't understand the difference between form and critical content, and they make beautiful buildings without thinking about how the activities should be relational, you see. And instead of actually responding to community, it invites in a lot of new activity, which is about moneyed activity, right? Maybe we can then do that, and then I'm in favor of then mentioning this. Is that okay? It's a bit difficult in Jakarta, you know. They've got dropouts of there. But what do you think, Songke and Wu? Do you think it's okay to have it honorably mentioned with a citation like that?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's difficult. I mean, since we like it architecturally, but in terms of urban planning, apparently it doesn't work, then it's not deserving for an urban design honorable mention. No?
Okay, we'll just let Ari know then when he comes back that we've decided it will not receive any honorable mention then.
Yeah, and also, you know, I like this project as an architecturally, but you know, when I look at this project, like as I said, you know, when I first look at this project is like somehow in between architectural and urban design. So one of the urban design part is not working as a socio-economically. So that's my point. You know, that's why, you know, better not to give this project as an honorable mention, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I agree with you, Wu, but I'll go one step further because I'll say that it fails even as an architecture, because architecture, if you draw a boundary between that and urbanism, it's a crazy thing because the built environment is a continuum, you see. So I think it even fails in architecturally. Not tectonically, it's fantastic, but tectonics is just one part of architecture. Ari, we've made a decision in your absence. We've
Oh,
decided
no.
that this cannot be
Connection.
honorably mentioned. Sorry,
Wow,
because
the
that
connection of the
it
internet
can't qualify
interrupt the
that as a
discussion.
dishonorable mention. You know what I mean?
So what is the decision? What is the decision when I was away?
The
So
decision is that we'll only have one honorable mention because it might succeed architecture tectonically, which is in the realm of architecture, but it doesn't succeed urbanistically or socially in the realm of which is more in the realm of urbanism. Okay.
Just when I was asking Songke, because you are the one who initially put this in the list, right? Then I suddenly photographed this project. What do you think?
Yeah, I didn't distinguish between architecture and urban design. I had asked in our pre-meeting last Friday whether we just mix them all up, and it was one of the I looked at it more as an architect, to be honest.
Oh.
And now listening to Kevin, I think I agree to it that as an urban project, most likely is not going to succeed.
Is that okay, Ari?
Okay.
Okay. In that case, Mr. Lee, the jury has decided that number 51 will receive an honorable mention with a very strongly worded citation as to its failings, and then we can move on. Is that all right?
Okay. So number 51, honorable mention.
Correct. Now, guys, we get to the difficult part, the rest of the honorable mentions. Maybe we should, to make it work, we could just make a list of 9 projects that deserve honorable mentions and then take it from there. Is that okay, Mr. Lee?
How many honorable mention for architecture?
9, I guess. This is 9 honorable mentions.
Yes.
So
9
now that one's been taken out, so now it's 8. 8 honorable mentions. Because it's all lumped together. Architecture, urbanism, and landscaping. It's
So
all
it's
9
8,
together.
8.
So only 8 now. Will not be 8 honorable mentions, but fewer. Will that be acceptable for the committee?
Honorable mentions on urban?
No, altogether. Instead of 9, we
Yeah.
only have maybe 5 or 3 or 6. Is that okay?
Whole.
That we don't have a full 9, you know?
We will do as the committee decides. The
Okay.
judging committee decides. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Has everyone submitted their votes for honorable mentions? I think this is where we get some discussion going, Ari. because I'm very, very critical about a lot of the projects in terms of ideas and fundamental narratives. But it's lovely. We generally, I think all of us generally have very similar sensibilities, you know, for what I've seen of our selections. I'm glad no one picked the Zaha Hadid building or the. I usually tell my students, Donka, that if I discover any one of them is using ChatGPT or AI during the course of a studio, it's an immediate fail because it doesn't help them, you know.
Applications have changed quite a bit since ChatGPT. Everyone is writing beautiful letters and everything.
The good thing is, it's like perfume on a prostitute. You know exactly what it's hiding, you know? ChatGPT is so easy to read through. There's nothing original when you read through a ChatGPT thing. So you can always smell the rat. And then you type in the keywords and the exact thing comes back out. So you can catch them right in the tracks. And it's something I tell my students. You're not 65 years old and say you don't have to do those exercises or you don't have to walk anymore because you did that when you're 5 years old. All the more reason to go back to basics, you know, in relation to language. So I'm very, very I'm merciless when it comes to AI and ChatGPT. It's killing one's ability to think from principles, basic foundations. You still draw with your hand, don't you, Sanka?
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Of course, computer is also there, but
it begins with your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Mr. Wu? Do you draw a lot? Do you sketch?
Actually, you know what? I use a Rhino. You know, start with a Rhino, end up with a Rhino.
What do you teach? Tell us what you teach.
Well, I teach, design studio, of course,
Okay.
and for seminar course, I teach construction and method and green architecture, That's
I'd
three
love to do
major,
I'd love to do a studio with you, I mean, study under you in the studio because I really liked how you began your criteria. You
Mm,
spoke about society and it's very
absolutely, yeah,
rarely ever
absolutely.
touched on
But
by
what I really what I really like hate project is that, they don't know why they are doing it.
Yeah.
Sometimes like city projects, as we see a lot here,
Yeah.
they just feel like they just do it. Someone else ask them to do it.
Yes. Yes.
That's what I like the project type that I don't like.
There's no more agency among students, I find,
Yep.
It's usually just satisfying that teachers in order to get a better grade.
Yeah, of course. I mean, student has to have an ability to build up their own social issue.
Yeah. And Ari, you still draw a lot, yes? You still hand draw everything.
Yeah, I do. I'm very terrible in technology. So I'm just asking my guys to do it for me, but I'm still doing all those hand drawing by myself. Yeah.
Are you in good company? Don't feel bad about being bad at technology. But I must tell you, whenever my contractors come back to me with some rhino, I love it. All the pipes are there. My mechanical and engineering consultants, every pipe is there, and I can tell them how to move things around. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful tool as long as someone else is doing it.
Yeah. As long as it's not done by us, right?
But just to be guarded, I don't talk about my architectural work much anymore. I prefer talking about issues that students can learn from, and
Oh,
it's usually
absolutely.
critique.
Yeah.
I pick the projects done by the best architects in the world, and I critique them. And then it's like the studios I run. I get the students to pick their favorite project in the whole world, and then they critique everything about it. And their studio project will be an intervention to solve the problems of the failures of those projects. So it's quite exciting, gets them
Yeah.
over iconizing their heroes.
We will share the results on the screen.
This is my thing. I really like the other projects. I really wanted to love this project because it spoke about everything that I love about the tectonics of architecture. But it claims to be about flexibility, basically, contextual shifts. It's about flexibility. And yet it's already proven architecturally over the last 20 years that you cannot get flexibility to systems architecture. And what you have here is a beautiful building, a beautiful work of a project that will be completely inflexible because you cannot introduce that kind of flexibility through the system that the student has devised. So it's a fundamental failure in a way, regardless of the fact that it looks absolutely lovely. Tectonically, it works. Structurally, it's absolutely fine, but it fails at what it claims to be, which is flexible. So that's why I did not even have this in my shortlist. If you study how the different elements go in and how that flexibility is managed through its list of components, it's not flexible at all. It really, never mind the plumbing, never mind the electricity wiring, spatially, it is the least inflexible thing you could ever imagine. Never mind the waste of space right in the middle, which is solely for the purposes of bringing up your little modules to be slotted into place. It's an absolute waste of space. That space in the middle is a construction site, basically, lifting up modules, and there's very little grace outside of how it looks from the exterior, you see? So from that viewpoint, it really doesn't do what it's not. It doesn't tell us the great heights that architecture can rise to spatially inside, and it just looks great as an object from the outside. This filigree of that also gives you very good sun shading and everything else. It just doesn't do it architecturally, So I know I'm fighting three jurors here. It doesn't point a way forward. It can't. It just takes too much land.
I think there is one better version of this kind of work, but I'm surprised that no one of you pick it up. I'm looking for it right now. The one that a little bit twisted. but it's
That is that summit yeah,
What
yes,
on
Like a
earth?
vertical
it
satellite.
is in the water built on water.
No, it's
Oh.
not emotional tower. I think that is a
Well,
column.
It's that vertical arc.
I saw that.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm surprised no one picked it up. I was put it in one of my selection. The
You know, the trouble with the vertical arc, Ari,
Yeah.
is that people will be drowning trying to get to a place where they'll be safe. The only way you can handle a flood crisis is on top of where you currently are or where you live. To concentrate, to focus where it will never work. It's just a lovely pipe dream, you know. It's a lovely tectonically once again, but it will never work. You'll be drowning trying to get to your salvation. In a flood, you just want to get to a point as safely as possible. Centralized services for that doesn't work, you see. It needs to be decentralized in order for you to save your life, you see. So this project doesn't do it either.
There was another one with the same topic with these branch towers, which I thought was also quite beautiful, but the same problem. I didn't
Yeah.
think it was a solution to the problem. I mean, if you get
Correct.
flooded, it's easier also to provide everyone something to float, which is maybe easier than making everyone hide into a tower.
And besides, you know, Asanka, the tower, the whole, all the glaciers melted, it would not even reach to a fraction of the height of the base itself. So, you know, it was just a very elegant looking rendering, but not very doable. But let's get back to that huge volume in the middle is completely purely for the service of construction, of bringing up the modules, you know. It's a terrible waste, I feel. It's crazy. It's a crazy, it's systems, you know, it's a systems architecture and the interior isn't even very beautiful. It's just a void where you got cranes and lifts to bring up the modules to stack them, you know, inside every 3 floors. There's a plinth. It's tectonically, once again, it's magnificent. But tectonics is only one small part of architecture. And I don't think this can, I mean, we can nominate, we can put it in, but it will have to be, the citation would have to be very, but we're all writing different citations, right? So maybe it doesn't matter then. But I want us also to have a discussion about it, you know, so that we understand a bit better our criteria.
Yeah, I think this is a way that we are discussing what kind of citation that we are going to put in, right, Kevin? Because we have to go back again that this is an idea competition for students, then their understanding with your understanding will be quite in a different level, you know. So I have to put this still in my selection and then put the right citation on it rather than just put it aside. What do you think?
No, fair enough. Maybe I could ask Mr. Lee, will all our citations be separated so that anyone reading them can understand what our disagreements are, why we feel that was all right to be in? Okay, maybe we can go down the line. Mr. Wu, what do you feel about this? Does it deserve an honorable mention?
Well, I thought about it, you know, as a student project, you know, but you know, I was trying to a little bit get away from like a sci-fi looking, you know, it's not just too like unrealistic. And also for this project, I didn't pick this project because I mean, like for me, I mean, even in reality, if this comes up, you know, it looks like an urban disaster. And even for like a quality of the living in this like a town. So that's why I didn't pick this project.
Yeah, don't be afraid to be blunt. Salka, please tell us.
Yeah, I actually picked it because I like the quirkiness of it. I know it's not realistic. I know that it would be very, very difficult to build it, and I find it over-circulated. There are way too many. I mean, the amount of circulation is almost matching the amount of actual housing it provides. So from that point of view, also, it doesn't make much sense. But the way it's also written and conceptualized, I like that. And then since I kind of wanted one housing project in it, and I found that was my favorite of what was submitted
Okay,
from that lot.
Ari.
I think the
talk to us.
concept of working with the existing society is what attract me most of this project. I picked this project and I would like to put another disaster thing in our already disastrous society. It's quite interesting project as a student, you know. I mean, I'm looking at it from the student point of view and the way they work on it. I think the narrative is very interesting. So this is one of my selection actually.
Okay, I didn't select this like Mr. Lee, Mr. Wu, because if you go back to the first page, Mr. Lee, the first page talks about impermanence, and yet everything about this and dynamic relationships, everything about this project is permanent, and the dynamic, what you see that's dynamic about it are the diagonals and the steps and the curves and all the things that look dynamic. It's aesthetically dynamic, but it's not relationally dynamic. It's very, very rooted, very fixed, and very permanent. And so I felt that it worked against its original narrative. So that's why I didn't pick it, and I don't think it should be included as an honorable mention. If you study what it engages, you know, in the slides further down, you'll see that in section and plan, the relationships are actually they are assumed rather than relationships that you can actually draw an understanding of. And everything about it just looks very dynamic and looks very impermanent, temporary, but it's not, you know. It's quite it'll take quite an effort to take it apart. And I was excited about dynamic relationships. I was excited about the impermanence of this urban community that had not settled residences and were for a long time. I was just curious about how that memory tied in, and it just ended up being a smorgasbord of very permanent form. So let's move on to the next one, and then maybe we can vote later. Okay?
Yeah, we shall put this aside first.
Okay, what's the next?
Go to the second one.
Okay, let's go. Oh, let's start with you, Ari.
Well, I like the lyrical way of the way they're putting all this kampung life in this kind of project, you know.
Okay.
It's very Malaysian. I was looking at this submission when I was in Penang. It was really give me a kind of a relation towards what I was looking at
Okay.
outside hotel view, you know. So that's why I picked it up as one of the thing that I will put in this competition.
Sanka, tell us, what do you think?
I didn't pick this because I mean I'm thinking also about the Dobby in Bombay and somehow the laundry. I really honestly didn't really get it what they were trying to do with this. So maybe I just didn't relate to the topic as such. So
Okay.
the importance of laundry in I mean where is this from? Which city? Which country is that?
This is Kuala Lumpur.
It's Kuala
Yeah.
Lumpur.
Okay.
Kuala Lumpur,
Okay.
yes.
So the importance of laundry in Kuala Lumpur maybe doesn't speak to me. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't
Yeah.
think you're misled. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, Mr. Wu.
Yes. I think like for me, this was one of my first selection. Actually, really excellent design with the locality. The
I see.
project is outstanding because it expands traditional practice of laundry into the contemporary programs. I don't
see.
know. I mean, if I really understand Dobby laundry like a culture in Malaysia,
Okay.
but still as a like a student projects, you know, it's outstanding. Also like beautiful hand sketches, detailed drawing. Moreover, the rendering shows like it looks like a live, you know, view of the like an actual building after built. That's why I really love this project.
I see. I didn't select it because if you pare it all down to its basic narrative, it's a glorified laundromat. And it is. It's a glorified laundromat. And something like this, never mind whether it's feasible or not, beauty is not enough for it to be called architectural. You know what I'm saying? Tectonics and craft and detail and a beautiful rendering, it's not enough. So I didn't vote for this. This didn't even come into my shortlist because it is basically a glorified laundromat. And it's not good enough, you know? If it became a glorified laundromat, but with something that elevated the act of laundry clothes to something more, which this really doesn't, it's not enough, you know? It's like I don't know. That's so I didn't. Shall we move on to the next one? Oh, this one. Okay, let's start with you, Mr. Wu. Let's go backwards now.
Well, as I said, this looks like a sci-fi for me.
What?
I
Sorry?
mean, even though this is, student project, and it shows the, try to solve something, but this looks too sci-fi to me.
Okay.
That's why I just didn't pick it.
Okay, Sankar.
So I put this in for the sake of filling my 8 votes. It's one of the lowest things. I like kind of the idea of it, but then it has, it seems to be worked out really well with the focus on the facade, how this is supposed to move. But what is inside is not worked out at all, I feel. Actual function of the building as a building, what it's supposed to solve. But what the focus is how the facade is going up and down. And I
Right.
think and beautiful drawings,
Yes.
very well presented, but then is it worth it? Since really not many people voted on this, I'm not sad if it goes out.
Okay, Ari.
Like I said initially, I'm looking at the way this future architect looking at how we solve about this dying process of a human being. And I think there are 3 projects similar to this, right? One is in Korea that they are using the disused petrol station.
Yeah.
One is the memory of remembrance from something. And I
Uh-huh.
think to me, this attract me most because I think it's the most sustainable in a way that they put it not on the land, but in the sea, on the sea. So
Okay.
that's the reason why I pick it up in the first place.
I didn't put this project in my shortlist because firstly, it's not floating. The structure goes all the way to the bed,
yeah.
to the seabed, yeah?
Yeah.
And that would be a problem itself because the structure is only that tall, but more important reason why I didn't put it in my shortlist is because it actually started incredibly well. It spoke about why are we allowing our bodies to be burnt, wasting all that fuel, and then all burying them in earth? Why don't we just let them biodecompose with the act of water itself? And yet everything about it is above water. It doesn't engage that biological decomposition with the water, you see? So it foiled itself. It kind of shot its own foot. And that's why I thought, never mind how it looks, but as a narrative and as an idea, it started beautifully and just ended right there with the idea. It didn't even try to develop what water place it would have in water, you see? How do you biologically decompose it with water, you see? How are tombs in water? This is just a floating thing. It's silly, it doesn't work.
Yeah. That's what I meant also. I mean, it is all these boxes, but then it doesn't really even in the drawings mention what is in the boxes. It just says light and ventilation, vital light and ventilation, but power supply, HVAC and lighting, but really what is going on within that is...
So okay, since
it's a
3 of
bit
us
easy.
already agree,
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
in principle, let us completely eliminate 75 from the honorable mention, okay? Is that okay, Ari?
Yeah.
Okay, next one, Mr. Lee. Okay, we start with you, Ari.
I didn't pick this, so I didn't really put attention on this project.
Oh, what do you think of it, though?
Let me look through it first.
Okay, we move on to Sankar then. We
Yeah.
come back to you, okay? Looks like you didn't vote for it either, huh?
No, I voted for it. I liked it with the intention that maybe it's like almost like a parasite, which is sticking to one building and not like, I imagined this would then pop up at more places over the city. So not really focusing on that one point, which is particular here, but as that module, which can just attach itself anywhere and then do good for the neighborhood where it's attaching itself to. So from that as an idea, I find it quite intriguing.
Okay. Mr. Wu?
Well, yeah, I picked this project definitely because it's quite interesting because the concept of parasitic, instead of like a building things, as a piece of architecture, but this kind of like a system, as I said, prototype becomes like a fit into any urban system, which is like a needed, so that's why I like this kind of like a parasitic idea with all these like a beautiful, drawings and also their narrative. I mean, its narrative and like configuration is quite interesting for me.
Got you. Okay, so your sensibilities align with that of Sankar's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ari, have you given it some thought?
I think the only thing I like about this project is that it will be applicable anywhere else, and it can be duplicated anywhere else. So yeah, but it's not that well okay to me, you know.
Okay.
You
I,
pick this, Kevin.
I didn't nominate this at all because, once again, something that is applicable everywhere doesn't work specifically anywhere. This is the only project of all the projects submitted. It's the only one that didn't have a north arrow. So I couldn't identify where the south, east, and west was. And if you look at how deep it is, in order for a prototype to work, it's got to be able to work in at least the site of its of where the proposal is. And it's so deep, you can't really green anything in the shade of that. Never mind the tall buildings around it blocking the sun from coming in. It just wouldn't work. Now, if the student had actually designed it differently as a true parasite, meaning sticks very close to the building, it works as a system of transportation up, and most of the light is above, I would have been a lot more persuaded. But as a proposal for a prototype, for an idea of what could be replicated, it just didn't work. It didn't lay out the basic principles which you have to follow in order for the prototype to be applicable in more places, in more leftover spaces. So it occupied an area of land which was big enough actually to build a whole new extension to the existing building, rather than just be a very simple, beautiful, elegant parasite that does all that thing of vertical farming, which receives more sunlight than flat horizontal planes that block sunlight, you see? So I felt it worked against itself. Once again, it bit its own foot, yeah? So that's why it didn't make my list at all. It was could have been a lovely idea. Once again, just the idea of a parasite. But as an idea, we got to understand, a parasite is a very, very low clinging surface onto an existing building, not a whole building on its own, which this is. The only reason why it looks parasitic is because it's colored differently from the building it's attached to. But if you made it white, it would look like a building rather than a parasite, So I didn't like the graphics to hide its true nature. Okay, do you want to decide on this, or shall we come back to it like the first two?
We'll come back to it later. Let's look at
Okay, Mr. Lee, let's go on to the next one. I think there's only two more left. One. What do you guys think? Do you think it deserves an honorable mention?
No for me.
Okay. Songke?
I'm okay if it's out. That's fine. It's maybe not strong enough. As an idea, it works for me, but
Mr. Wu?
Well, I'm flexible, Okay, I'm okay. I'm okay to get it out.
So let's
Yeah.
leave it out then. Okay, so let's leave it out then.
Mhm.
Let's move back to the first two, Mr. Lee. Let's start with Mr. Lee.
Yeah,
Are
this
you
has
still-
some merit to it.
I guess if the three of you vote that's going to be in, then it's going to be in. I'm not going to be overturn your vote. I don't have that power as chairman. So it's in then, yeah?
Yeah, let's put it in.
And the next one, Mr. Lee, the three of you voted in?
Yep.
yeah.
For me, yes.
Okay, Ari?
Which one is this? Oh, the cemetery.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Songka, you okay with it in?
I'm okay with this being in.
Okay, Ari, do you have any objection if it's in?
Yeah, I didn't put it in, but I'm okay if it's in a honorable mention. It's okay.
Okay, then let's go ahead and put it in. I'm not in favor of it, but for the reason that sure, real estate is very good. Nothing sells for more money than land for dead people. No electricity, but this will require electricity. So it becomes less of a feasible thing. What bothered me about this project was there wasn't enough of a mixed use within. I didn't see where the columbarium was on every floor to make it really work with other activities so that you're constantly in touch, finding closure with the ones who are dead. Because death is not about the dead, they're already dead. Death is always about the living. And I didn't see enough in this project that was about the living. You just had many people on different floors, but there was no address to how the different activities related. And that's what's really bothered me about it. It was just a fancy, very funky vertical cemetery in urban vertical cemetery without a deeper thought as to what that actually constitutes as an idea. Yeah, it's just it's not even an idea; it's a shell of an idea. So that really bothered me. But if you three still feel it should be in, then it will be in. I'm not going to fight you.
I think like this has to be like enough quality to be like an honorable mention. Also, I think for this project, we have to understand Korean funeral culture. Actually, I myself went to a funeral service yesterday night. And,
Wow.
and also in Korea, in reality, land for the grave is much more expensive than land for housing.
Yes.
That's kind of trend in Korea. I think that trend really reflects like the like a concept of this like idea project. So I think this project has enough to be a part of like a honorable mention.
Okay, let's put it in then. End the story. So have any final announcements?
So are we in agreement with the final results?
Yes, it's all good. Maybe I can call a conclusion to the Big Fields Competition 2025. Thank you very much, Mr. Lee, for presiding over us and managing us. And good to meet all of you, Mr. Wu, Songke, Ari.